Welcome to Taking Care of Lady Business, where we put the business back in lady business. Hosted by Jennifer Justice, founder and CEO of the Justice Department, a management, strategy, and law firm that works with female and woke male entrepreneurs, executives, talent, brands, and creatives to build and maximize their wealth, focusing in the areas of tech, consumer product, finance, media, entertainment, and fashion. Jennifer interviews entrepreneurial women who have done it all, who will be sharing their secrets on all things business, especially as a woman. These highly successful women will share strategies and insights, including what not to do and what it takes to win. And now, here's your host, Jennifer Justice.
Thanks to MedJet for supporting the Lady Business podcast. If you're hospitalized or your security is threatened while traveling, they can get you home. I'm a MedJet member and have been for years. Everyone who travels should be. Enroll before your next trip at medjet.com. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Taking Care of Lady Business. Today, we have Dr. Sophia Yen. She's a co-founder and CEO of Pandia Health. Hi, Sophia. How are you?
Hello. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited. I'm excited to hear not only about your company and how you built it, which is not easy in telehealth and healthcare or anything in general, but also you were just telling me alternate ways to invest, which is exciting too. But let's start at the beginning. What is Pandia Health and how did you start it?
So about 9 years ago, I'm a physician and I teach other physicians how to take care of teenagers, how to prescribe birth control. And I was giving a talk, why don't women take their birth control? And one of the top reasons was didn't have it in their hand. And my friend and I were like, we could take care of this. We will just ship women birth control and keep shipping it until they tell us to stop. And then we ran ads, free birth control delivery. And 60% of the women that responded didn't have a prescription. And it's like, don't you know, in the United States, you need a prescription if you want the birth control pill, patch, or ring. And as an entrepreneur, I don't want to run ads where 60% of my ads were useless. And as a doctor, I could write prescriptions. And thus Pandia Health was born. If you have a prescription and you have insurance, you just tell us where it's at. We bill your insurance, you pay us nothing, and you get 3, 6, 1 month, whatever your insurance or your doctor wrote for, and then set it and forget it, never run out of birth control on our watch. And then if you need to use our doctors, we currently can prescribe in 15 states, and we encourage birth control tourism. So the example I give is we're not New Jersey or Connecticut yet, but who doesn't get to New York once a year, right?
Right.
So if you can get to New York once a year, fill out our health questionnaire, give us a self-reported blood pressure in the past year, pay just $30 once a year to use our expert doctors, and you get unlimited follow-up for 364 days with a doctor. So that is a total steal. Then we send it to our doctor. Our doctor looks at it. If they have any questions, we'll send you back and forth some questions. But if not, write the prescription, bill your insurance, good to go. And then no insurance, no problem. We have cash options as well that are quite affordable for the medication. But under the Affordable Care Act, no copay, no deductible, aka free. And so we started with birth control, and we've added on acne, and I'm of menopause age. So all my friends are like, menopause. And I'm like, yes, I need it. I have found the best treatment. I will share it with all of you, which is basically hormonal treatment. But if you don't want that or there are contraindications, and certainly we can give, local, focal, and there are new medications out there as well for vasomotor symptoms of menopause. We're starting with just medical treatment, but we happen to pick up a menopause expert. So we'll be adding on support group, education. I have a nutritionist and a therapist that wants to join us as well. All of those will be upsells, but the baseline will just be the medication.
What is local and focal?
So, when we in medicine, we talk about systemic, which means the whole body, and that's taking a pill that gives you hormone to the whole body.
Yeah.
And then local is just the number one symptom is dry vagina. And dry vagina is bad for sex because it's like sandpaper and painful, but also bad for the urethra, which is where urine comes out and actually increases your risk of urinary tract infections. So if you start to notice more urinary tract infections or pain with peeing, that's not, related to something else, then that may be a sign that you need some estrogen down there. And so the
Right.
local and focal is just put cream in that area to keep it all nice and moist and avoiding urinary tract infection versus
Right.
taking a pill that goes through the whole body. But there are benefits for the whole body, but some people, if they have breast cancer or other issues, can't take the whole body estrogen, and so
Got it.
just local
Okay.
and focal.
That was not the only thing I got received from that entire thing, but I was like, what is she talking about? I thought you meant like functional medicine stuff. Okay, so when did Pandia Health start?
2016 is when I launched this baby. I call it my third child.
Yes, definitely. It's that, I'm sure. A very large child. It costs even more than your other two, I'm sure.
Yes, it does.
And so how did you do it? How did you raise money? You know, especially
Yes.
2016, like, I mean, no year has been better than the rest, actually, of women. It's been the same percentage of anywhere from 2 to 3% for the last 10, 13, 15 years. So,
Exactly.
where did you get that, 2%?
Yes. So with most companies, if you're blessed with connections or whatnot, you ask friends and family. And so it started with friends and family, my brother, my cousin, my college classmate, people that I've been in political events with who I knew supported politicians. Why not support the only doctor-led, the only women-founded, women-led birth control delivery company at that time, I'm realizing that we're bringing better than UCSF Stanford care to wherever you have internet and a mailbox. So we're equalizing the level of care, improving the standard of care. And so started with that, but then accelerators are absolutely helpful so that you don't have to make a list of 300 investors. You can just pitch and then they come to you is a start. And so there was Springboard Enterprises out of New York. They've been amazing. They're a nonprofit. They're about women-founded, women-led companies. Definitely check them out if you're a women entrepreneur. And then Stanford Start X. Generally, you have to have one of the founders has to have a Stanford connection. So either you graduated or you're currently a professor or something, but they also have a 10% diversity. So female, person of color can also get in, but I'm a Stanford professor, so that's how I got in. But they are great with women and diverse founders at Stanford StartX, and they have a pitch day that helps you. And it's just immediately a network of startup help that you can post stuff like, I need a CFO. Does anyone have a good marketing or Google ads or something? And all these other founders will be like this. And so it's really nice to have that kind of supportive network. And then any other.
So what you said something though, you said the only female founded birth control deliveries. Are other ones that were not founded by women?
Yes. So at the time we launched, there were two other companies, both of which were started by men. And that's why I started Pandia Health. I was like, it has to be a woman CEO. It needs to be women run, women focused. And unlike other companies who are like, oh, this is the cheapest pill with the best margin, we want you to have the best pill, not necessarily the most expensive, but just the one that's best for you with the least amount of side effects, because actually it makes business sense. If you try a pill and you get breakthrough bleeding, you're like, bye-bye, I'm out of here. Yeah. If I give you a pill and you do great, you're my customer for the next 30 years. So I'm looking at the long game, but also as the only doctor-led company in this field, I'm one of the few CEOs that's taken the oath, do no harm. So we will always tell you what's best for your health, even if it's not good for our bottom line. But for my investors, I will absolutely make money. I went to MIT. I know how to do spreadsheets. I will not spend more than what we're bringing in, but I don't have to do it selling snake oil.
Right. Exactly. Okay. And so when you come in and somebody wants to, be part of it, you do get like a one-on-one, like telehealth experience. You don't get any in person, right?
So yes, Pandia Health currently is asynchronous, and patients love that. And particularly for confidential reproductive health services, research has shown that if you do a phone or video and you're like, how many sexual partners have you had? When was the last time you had sex? There's like a judgment, that you can hear in the voice, and people are less likely to be honest. But if it's a questionnaire on the computer, they're like, oh yeah, they just answer and they feel free, and we shouldn't be judgmental. And so I'm sorry that a video or phone comes off that way, but it also is great because you can do it 24/7, and our doctors love it because they can do it 24/7.
Yeah.
But if there's any questions, we have a HIPAA compliant platform. You sign on, you ask whatever you want, and our doctors will respond with you related to birth control because you only paid $30. It's not anything in your health. And we're also not here to compete with your primary care doctor. We just want to make sure no one runs out of birth control on our watch. If you want acne, we're here for acne. We're going to do menopause, and we're going to do other low risk women's health that we feel is safe on telemed. But we are not here to replace your primary. Please go see your primary for your checkups, because we can't listen to your heart, listen to your lungs, look in your mouth, even check your blood pressure currently. In the future, maybe, but right now, primary care should be done in person.
So, okay. So then you went to these accelerators and you started raising some money.
Yes. And so thankful for, there's also One World Investments. They are about increasing social impact investments. They introduced us to an advisor who introduced us to our lead investor, Precursor Ventures. Love Charles Hudson. He funds a whole bunch of B2C companies, a ton of them diverse. He is a person of color himself, just a lovely, lovely person. And then through Springboard, was introduced to Electus Capital. We were their first health investment, and health became hot, and they opened a whole new health branch after that. And then Corliss, used to be SheEO, another nonprofit. Everybody should check it out. It's a great org where women donate $1,100 a year, and then 100 goes to overhead. But the 1,000, you get 500 together. They have $500,000, and they give 5 companies roughly $100,000 each. And so they are focused on women-founded, women-led companies. And we're one of the companies who got the $100,000 loan, interest-free, that you pay back over 5 years. So really helps new startups that need help. And so that's where I've gotten funding, but I haven't been that great at it. I've gone slowly, and people are like, why aren't you as big as your competitors? And I was like, they've raised 150 million. I've raised 6 million to date. And so if I had 150 million, I would be a lot bigger. But also, I don't understand why they needed 150 million. If I had 150 million, I'd have 10 companies. Because right now we're raising 10 to 12 million. And with that, we will be done. And we will have a $1.8 billion valuation by the end.
Amazing. With only raising 6 million.
Well, we need an extra 12 million. But with that, then we'll be at $1.8 billion by 2026. So, with the 150 million, I'm like, what the, did they do with that?
Drown out the other competition and pay themselves, I'm sure. So who are you raising? We're like, what is it? A Series B that you're at?
We are calling it a Series A. And
Series A still,
yes, still, I know the numbers have become inflated over the years, and they move. But I do want to put it out there because I know you have a lot of women listeners, and potentially with a lot of net worth or connections. I feel that women often control a lot of philanthropic dollars, and also women are hesitant to invest. But I want to give you an opportunity to realize that you can use your philanthropic dollars, and many different organizations. There's community or foundations. There's Schwab has a donor advised fund, and basically you put your money in there and it's a tax deduction. Because once you create a donor advised fund, you're promising that all this money will go to nonprofits going forward in the future. And then you can take the tax deduction now, and then you can give out the money the rest of your life. You can pass it on to your kids, etc. But it's no longer your money in terms of you can't use it for everyday stuff, but you can absolutely give it to any nonprofit, a C3 that you want out there. But know that there's impact assets, which is another donor advised fund that you could give to them and say, hey, I want to invest in Pandia Health because they're doing some social good in this world. And it's a minimum $25,000 to set up that situation and impact assets, and then like 3% overhead. But with that, in my family foundation, we have invested in 3 to 4 different companies. One is for cancer. You put a cap on your head, it decreases hair loss. Another one is for lubricant for older women. Nobody else would allow them to run any ads anywhere, but I feel it's important that older women have lubricant so that our vaginas aren't dry like sandpaper. And what other company did I invest in? Oh, I invested in Eco Lingerie with reusable fabric, Ha, and then wind energy as well. So this is just an example that your foundation funds, your nonprofit funds can be used to support companies like this. And particularly important, exactly as you said, Jennifer, that only 3% of VC money goes to women, that only 3% of VC are women. So if you want to see more women founders, we need your funding. And so please consider donor advised fund, impact assets, or just straight up check. But this way, if you do it through your, you get a tax deduction. And when the money comes back, when 1.8 billion, you can then give it out again, either to a nonprofit or invest in another company. Your call, your choice.
And so let's say I put in what impact assets, right? And I put in $25,000.
Yeah.
I then give it to you, right?
Yes.
Or they
Yes.
give it to you.
Yeah.
And then your return to me is $1 million.
Yeah.
I don't get taxed on any of it?
Well, it has to be only used for nonprofit, but you get $1 million, you get no tax, and you can either invest it now in, 10 companies at 100,000, or you could donate it all to whatever your favorite nonprofit is. I like Center for Reproductive Rights. I like the National Network of Abortion Funds, any C3 nonprofit. So you could either donate it or reinvest. And then if you lose it, then you consider it a donation to the world,
Right. Okay, got it. Interesting. I never heard of that before, so I love it. Okay, so you've been since, well, now it's like 7 years now you're around?
Yes.
7
yes,
years on $6 million. And how many people, and this is a subscription service.
Yes.
That's an annual automatic for only $30. And your all your birth control is covered by your insurance, or you have a cost that you can, low cost that you could do. Exactly. All right, this is amazing. And so as you're adding on, then you added on acne. What was that thought process?
So we figured that, the pitch to the investors is one customer acquisition cost, several revenue streams. And so rather than go out and advertise for acne and compete with other companies, just farm from our own. Right.
Yeah,
and then you have no extra customer acquisition costs. But also, being adolescent medicine, I love acne. It's easy to treat. And I feel safe that it can be done in an asynchronous manner. But also, about 10% of our patients probably have acne. Birth control in general, any pill, patch, ring should help with your acne, but it's definitely not sufficient. If you're like me, who only got one zit every month with my periods, and you turn off the periods, bye-bye zits. But other people, if it's like, teenagery or other, then those things aren't going to go away for a bit. And we can also help with additional tretinoin, topical antibiotics, oral antibiotics. We don't do Accutane. If you want Accutane, you got to go to your dermatologist, but we can get you prepped, ready to see a dermatologist, because the dermatologist won't give you Accutane unless you're already on 3 medications at the same time for 3 months and failed them.
Yeah. Right. No, it's heavy on your body too. I know that
but it's amazing.
Yeah.
Look at the before and after.
All right. And so then next you're going into menopause, and is that what you're raising for? What will be the valuation going into the Series A?
Yes. So we are looking at 30 million, because we're going to be worth 1.8 billion by 2026.
I love it.
We're doing the menopause. Yes, it's to launch menopause. It's to get us in as many states as possible for our asynchronous telemedicine. As I mentioned, we're in 15, California, Florida, Texas, Nevada, New York. I call it the fun states. Who doesn't get to Disney or Vegas or South by Southwest or Austin once a year, but also the other states that we're in, Illinois, Pennsylvania, et cetera, Georgia, et cetera. But to expand states. And then we also open Pandia Pharmacy, so to expand that pharmacy, right? And then we're also looking at, what I didn't mention is I realized what I was taught at UCSF and Stanford works great if you're a Caucasian female that wants to bleed every month. But as a person of color, Asians, Blacks, talk to other doctors, we're like, oh yeah, that doesn't work in Asians. And I was like, oh yeah, when I started the pill, I had to go through 3 different pills. And so using my MIT, UCSF, Stanford brain, took all the pills, ranked them from most likely make you bleed, least likely make you bleed, most likely give you munchies, least likely give you munchies, took the one I was taught, put it here, and then bumped it up a little to decrease the breakthrough bleeding that Asians and Blacks find on that one pill. And with
Oh,
that,
no way. Okay. So there's a difference in the types of pills depending on which race you are. I've never
exactly.
heard that ever. I did not know that.
Exactly. And it's the metabolism of the drug, I believe,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
our
yeah.
livers function and eat the drug
Yeah.
faster. And that's probably why we have the breakthrough bleeding.
Yeah.
So with that, we find 82% retention in a year for a newbie on birth control versus the normal 55%. And given I'm adolescent medicine, we also throw in a little more estrogen. We don't throw in more estrogen, but we recommend more estrogen until 30 years old for your bone health.
Yeah.
And then we also know if you're a higher BMI for emergency contraception, which one to give you, because it's not going to work. This is my Pandia public service announcement on your station. Plan B and its generics. If your BMI is 26 or greater, doesn't work so well. And if your BMI is 30 or greater, doesn't work at all. And a BMI of 26, 2 out of 3 women fit that. I'm a BMI of 25, but if I eat some extra dessert, 26. So don't do Plan B and its generics. I even have my prop here. Ella, I don't get paid by them. I just want nobody to get pregnant that doesn't want to get pregnant. Ella is prescription only, and it's covered by insurance, Affordable Care Act, no copay, no deductible. But if not, then it's like $45. We might even have a deal at Pandia Health, but totally worth it. It works better than Plan B at every time point, and it works up to a BMI of 35. If your BMI is 35 or greater, then for emergency contraception, your only option is the IUD.
Wow. Look at all the stuff we're learning here today. I love it. I mean, it's like, I'm always like, I had some women that are clients of mine that I have, menopause companies. And whenever they come on, I'm like, wait, what? Only 10% of gynecologists have been trained in menopause? That's insane.
Yes, that's the thing with menopause. It's not clear who's supposed to know. Is it internal medicine? Is it family practice? Is it gynecology? There is a group called the North American Menopause Society, and we will make sure that all of our physicians are trained by them. It's an extra 100 hours to know as much on the latest and greatest and evidence-based menopause treatment out there.
Amazing. I know no one knows. I mean, I don't think even women know. It's like, okay, what does an endocrinologist do in all of these situations? What is, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So yeah, all of the above. So thank you. And I like literally, I just heard that for the first time too, that like no one really knows who they're supposed to go to for any of these things. But as a woman, you're like, okay, you've been here for every other stage of my life. Why aren't you here for the menopause stage of my life? So, which is, very long, right? So I love everything that you're doing. I love everything that you're building. What are the things that you feel like you could have done better or wish you would have known when you were starting these things?
I would say, my general tips for starting a company are: 1, build your community, find all these people, don't reinvent the wheel. 2, find a mentor or a bunch of mentors. I have a mentee and he knows how to utilize me. He meets with me like every other week. And I didn't want to do that to anyone else, but absolutely could have benefited from that. And then going back to the community, it's nice to have other people in startups, because sometimes your non-startup friends don't understand what you're going through. Like, my joke is, I'd rather die than not pay back my cousin and my brother and my college people, because like I have to see them in the holidays and stuff like that.
Yeah, right.
And so it's like particularly painful. And I don't know if people get that, that I am invested in this because I don't want to die of shame for my family. But also realizing that I think men and women look at it differently, and I don't want to stereotype, but my women investors expect, payback and everything. And the men are like, if it goes, 9 out of 10 it fails. We're used to that. It's fine, but the woman like, you lose my money, I will hate you forever.
Well, it's also we're not as used to it, right?
Yes,
It's like
yes.
they start
Risk adverse.
gambling and risking stuff, and even like all the social aspects of video games to team sports to things that we just don't do as much of,
Yes.
So,
and it's a good thing we don't do more gambling.
so
what else would I advise do differently?
So how do you and your co-founder, how did you guys find each other and decide to do this?
So I would say the original co-founder was Perlini, and we're both mothers and women, and we saw a problem and we saw a solution, and we knew that it had to be women-founded, women-led. And so as a woman, as a doctor, I didn't want to do this unless I had all the elements there. So we had 6 co-founders, 5 women, 1 dude, and we've been dinged by investors because it wasn't 100% women. I was like, I gave 5 women co-founder title, and we only gave the dude co-founder to be nice. He didn't even ask for it, but we're like, to be fair, because women are about being fair, right?
Plus, anyway, if there's a dude in the room, you get money faster.
Yeah, exactly. No, the joke is, and it's a sick joke, if I'd hired a Caucasian male to go pitch, he probably would have gotten more money. Or if I'd had my husband pitch, Apple, MIT, Asian dude, he might have gotten more money. But older, 50, menopausal, with children, doctor, not so much. And I'm like, really?
But all the statistics say that you will have more of a chance of returning the capital than anyone else.
Yes.
Of any other category of anybody.
Exactly.
It's like crazy.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are very, very aware of every dollar that we spend in this company. And women are less of a risk taker. I like to think of us as the turtle, slow and strong and sure and dependable, as opposed to the hare, which is a flash in the night, right?
Well, so, you have all these co-founders. How did you determine who was going to do what, right? No, I mean, I find that it's like fun and sexy to start a company, but it's like, okay, well, who's going to do the marketing? Who's going to oversee this? Who's going to oversee that? Who's going to oversee talking to the lawyers? Who's going to look over the finances? Like, how did you make those decisions?
So the reason we had 6 co-founders is because we needed all of that. And so there was me, the medical person. There was a COO I brought in from my sorority to handle everything, logistics, find us a lawyer, find us an accounting, all the stuff that I didn't want to deal with, insurance. And then we had a CTO because you need somebody to deal with the tech. We had a pharmacist. The pharmacist unfortunately had to leave because she had to pay for her house and her nanny. And we were like, we can't pay $150,000 a year when we have 10 customers, And so eventually some of these founders parted ways. Perla was just, visionary, loves to network with people, gets a lot of energy off of people. And then a chief marketing officer. So, but also your job description in a startup is to do whatever it takes to make the startup succeed. And so if I have to personally, iron t-shirts or, run here, or clean the toilet or, do the accounting or do whatever, that's your job as CEO and founder and as a team. I think what's hard is then people are like, don't step in my lane, and there's stepping on each other's lane, there's micromanaging, but there's also just offering ideas, that maybe CTO has an idea that could help marketing, maybe marketing has an idea that could help the CTO. So it's hard doing that balance. And for me, I would say it's the people skills, because as a physician, I forget. When I write an order, the nurses execute, and we're all heading towards a common goal. But with people, there's drama, there's inter-people conflict, and there's like egos involved. I just assume we have a common goal and we're trying to get there.
Right.
But sometimes you have to remind everybody, we all succeed if we help each other. We're not competing in any way. And please don't see an insult where no insult is meant.
Yeah. I mean, that part is hard, right? Managing all the people will try to keep your business afloat and try to raise more money and then try to have a personal life and a family and attention to your children. Yes, it is all like, Okay, so what are the other plans beyond menopause for Pandia Health?
Yeah, so we are building the online health brand women can trust. Again, is the only women founded and women led, the only doctor led company in this field right now. So we're started with these three. We can see easily going into polycystic ovarian syndrome. I also happen to have obesity expertise. And so that affects 66% of the US population as well. And then we're happy to deliver other drugs. We may not prescribe thyroid, we may not prescribe psychiatric drugs, but if you need them, we're happy to deliver them, set it and
Right.
forget it.
As a pharmacy. Yeah.
Yeah, never
Yeah.
run out on our watch. So that's what we see. We also see the potential to be, again, the brand that women trust. So we may not do fertility or baby stuff or perinatal stuff, but happy to give the Pandia stamp of approval that this is a trustworthy company. Go for it. Use this baby company, use this, breast pump, use this fertility company or all these fertility companies. They aren't crazy. They aren't trying to steal your extra money, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, I know it's hard when you're like in that moment and trying to figure it all out. Yeah, for sure. And so, when you guys are, you existed well before the pandemic, which was great. So you already had a consumer base and a subscriber base. Did you see, we didn't do telemedicine really before that, right? It was like a weird thing. And it's like, wait, don't you have to be in an office? But like, could you see how it really changed consumer behavior at that point?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My husband's joke is everything that's bad for the world is good for my company. So COVID, not good for the world, but great for telemedicine, telehealth. And because people are doing asynchronous learning, they understood asynchronous telemedicine as opposed to video or telephone. And then Dobbs, Roe v. Wade, horrible for anybody with a uterus, but it woke up people in New York. It woke up people in Texas, and we saw a 3x increase in our customer acquisition because if you don't have access to abortion, then you better get your birth control under control. And so that is our pitch. You don't have access to this anymore in 26 states that are hostile to reproductive rights. Make sure you have your birth control under control. And then thought leadership that we're doing is hashtag periods optional. Anybody who's bleeding every month, that is so 2020. Get with the times and go hashtag periods optional. And you can do that with the IUD implant shot, which we don't do, but pills, patch, ring can also be used to make hashtag periods optional. And I like the pills because there's 40 different pills out there. So if one doesn't work, I'm pretty sure I'll find 1 out of 39 that work for you.
Right.
The IUD and implant only have one hormone, and it depends if your body likes that hormone or not.
Right. So you might have to do some trial and error. Amazing. Oh, I love everything you're doing. And you're right. Female led, female doctor led, female person of color led, like all the things that you're doing is amazing. And I'm super excited that you agreed to come on here today. Of all the things that, we get served as women, et cetera, there's always one question that I ask everyone, however, and that is, what is the worst advice you've ever received? I
would say suck it up. And that is a thing in medicine that you hear. Usually as the hierarchy, as a med student, suck it up. As a resident, suck it up. As a fellow, suck it up. And as a doctor, suck it up. Do whatever's necessary to protect the patients, to make their life, maximum and do no harm. But I hear it as women. The number one cause of missed school and work is heavy, painful periods. Suck it up. That's the way it is. It just runs in your family. No, if you are missing school and work, please see a doctor. There is a treatment for that. Don't suck it up. Menopause. There are doctors that are like, oh, sorry, honey. That's just the way it has to be.
Oh my God, I've had 2 to 3 of them tell me that.
That's not okay. So my new hashtag is stop sucking it up and get good medical care, evidence-based, cutting edge at Pandia Health, the only women-founded, women-led, and more importantly, the only doctor-led, academic doctor-led, so based on science. In the future, we're going to use genetics as well. If you have 23andMe or Ancestry or DNA, if you give us that, then we'll be like, oh, you got this? This is the best birth control for you. This is the best menopause for you. This is the best obesity drug for you,
Yeah.
you know, because we'll have that information. We can put that together. So hashtag stop sucking it up. And if your doctor is not paying attention to your menopause, go check out a North American Menopause Society trained person. I just learned that, you know, with night sweats, if you're on estrogen, it should take care of it. And if it's not, then make sure your doctor's looking for other things.
Mm-hmm. You know, I had a perimenopause symptom right before COVID where I had a frozen shoulder, but I didn't know what it was. And I went to a guy and he was like, oh, it's a rotator cuff. Just go to PT. And for like, you know, whatever, like 4 or 5 months, I was going to PT and I was like, it's exactly the same, you know, exactly the same. So I started looking it up and I found out that it's a perimenopause sign. And there's a guy at HSS that literally just put a saline solution in a needle in my back. And the next day I was totally fine. I mean, I couldn't even go put my hand behind my back.
Wow.
I was in so much pain. And of course, whenever I've told like PT people after that, they're like, really? I was like, yeah, do you want the doctor's name? They're like, no. I was like, wow, that's amazing. You just want to keep coming.
Yes, that sometimes there are perverse incentives in medicine, and particularly as a primary care, you know, provider, I don't get paid for preventing sexually transmitted infections, obesity, and cardiac death. The system gets paid more if you're obese, if you have a heart attack, if you get pregnant. And so primary care physicians are so way underpaid for the stuff that we prevent, because when you use healthcare, the system benefits. But we want the better health for the patient. We want to prevent all this from happening. And I think it's great that you found that person for frozen shoulder, because I've heard horror stories like a year or two of PT and it just, you know, it's forever. So would love to get that doctor's
VJ VAD, HSS, not cheap, but literally can move. And by the way, can move. Anyway, thank you so much. So obviously you're raising some money. People want to find you. They want to subscribe. They want to do everything. How do they do that?
Yes. So hit us up on Pandia's socials. We are on TikTok, Insta, Facebook, YouTube, Pandia Health. Pan is every, Dia is day. So that'll hopefully help remind you how to spell it. And then if you want to hunt me down, I've also started TikTok, Dr. Sophia Yen, Instagram, and then LinkedIn.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining today. Thank you everyone for listening. I'm sure you learned a lot. I know I did. And until next time, I'm Jennifer Justice.